Hello, my diamonds. I'm back. Today is going to be a little bit serious. It's about my son, Anthony. So he was born a preemie, which is really hard for us to talk about, but I feel like maybe somebody can relate to our situation. So he was born 32 weeks, and it was because I had preeclampsia. So I had to give birth early in order for him to survive. The experience was very scary. Um, I didn't know that I had preeclampsia until about 30, I believe it was 30 weeks, because I had like this huge pain in my stomach, and it felt like a gas bubble. It was so weird. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like a big gas bubble, and then I couldn't lay down. It was hard for me to breathe, and I just felt very uncomfortable. And I tried to sit it out and see maybe, and I think this was like lasted for like 2 days or something like that, because the first day I was working and I just felt this pain, and I'm like, I can't even move as much as I want to. And then the second day we went out to Queens to go see my grandmother, and then the pain just got worse. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to drink anything. It was just so bad. So I went home and I was like, it was late. I think it was like 11 or something like that. And um, I didn't want to go to the hospital because, it was really late and I just wanted to sleep. But I could not lay down. Like, it was like pressure was just on me. Like, I could not breathe. It was horrible. So then my husband took me to the hospital, and from there they checked me. They gave me like the gas pill, I don't know what it's called, to see if it was just gas. They did all the tests on me, and my pee came out positive for too much protein, and that's like a big sign of the preeclampsia. And so from there, they kept doing tests, blood work, you name it. And so they checked the baby, make sure that he was okay, and he was fine. But they noticed that I had preeclampsia. So at this point, they strapped on these things to my ankles so that my legs could keep getting, uh, I forgot what it's called. It won't like fall asleep. My legs won't fall asleep. So then they told me and my husband that I can't leave the hospital until I give birth. Both of us were like, what? We can't leave? We didn't know that we were going to give birth that early. And so from there, um, that's my son right there, if you hear him. So from there, um, they just told me, they just kept doing like tests and stuff like that. And then they told me that I probably will have to give birth, um, natural birth. So they were trying to see if I can contract on my own. And then they also gave me um, something to help me contract. It didn't work. And so they gave me steroids to basically enlarge his heart and his lungs, because he was so small. I mean, he was only 32 weeks and he was not ready to come out. So then a doctor came in before I gave birth, came in and said, um, if he cries, it's a good sign. That means that he might not stay in the hospital for that long. If he doesn't cry, then it's serious. Like, we have to keep him longer, or whatever the case is. So after that doctor talked to me, um, they had told me that the next day I'm all set for a C-section. So I thought, thinking, hey, the C-section is not going to hurt as bad as the natural birth, because everybody was telling me how painful natural birth is. And so I didn't think that C-section would be so bad. Anyways, so at 7 a.m., they scheduled me to the C-section. So I went in, they did the surgery, and you're actually awake for that experience, but your body is numb. You can't feel anything, obviously. So when he came out, he was crying. Like, I couldn't even, I think the saddest part for me also was that when he came out, most moms can hold their child. I couldn't hold him, because they had to rush him out. We called a picture, but it wasn't the experience that I wanted, to hold him and, that first bond, So they immediately took him and he went straight to the NICU. And I didn't get to see him after that for like another day or so, because they had to make sure that I was okay and I could move and stuff like that, because I just got surgery. So, if I got up, I would probably faint, because I've been in surgery, and I've been laying down for a long time. I think it was like a week, I believe. Yeah, it was like a week before I gave birth. I was like in the hospital. I think so, because I think I stood there for 2 weeks in all. Anyways, so the day that I got to see him, I saw, it was emotional for me because I didn't connect with him at first, because he had so many wires and things that I didn't understand. And so at first, and I, more like, I go see him and I saw these wires, and then I just was like, I'm ready to go. The second time I saw him, I think that's when I fell in love. I was able to get up and I was able to touch his little hand and stuff. I wasn't able to pick him up just yet because he still had a tube in his mouth to help his lungs and to help him breathe. So I wasn't able to pick him up just yet. So the only thing that I could do is hold his hand, change his diaper, things like that, but not quite holding him yet. And then, a couple of days passed by, and they took the tube out. I think this is when I went home. So they took the tube out and they said, okay, we're going to see, we think he's ready to breathe on his own. So they leave him, and now they have the oxygen going through his nose. And so we're excited because, for us, that's like the next step. Because once he's able to breathe on his own, then all he needs to do is keep his temperature, and then he can come home to us. So we're like so excited, that he has a tube out, and he's getting there. Then we went to the hospital, and we started seeing that his numbers for his oxygen were still low. They weren't great. So then they told us, okay, we have to put the tube back in. I feel like that's when I broke down, because to know that your baby got to a good point and then goes back down, it felt like an emotional roller coaster at the moment. So I'm happy that I had family, especially my husband and my mom. They were there every single day with me through my cries, through my tantrums, through everything. Without them, I don't think it would have been the same, to be honest. I think I would have freaked out and yelled at the doctors and all that, because at the moment, you're just like, I want my baby, I want to hold him. I want him. He's mine. But then I realized that, takes time. It took a lot of time. So then he finally got, after putting the tube back in his mouth, a couple days went by, and finally they took the tube back out, and at this point he was okay. There was no putting it back. Then we finally got to hold him, which was amazing. Like, I did not want to let him go. We only got to hold him for like an hour max. So it was like 30 minutes with me, 30 minutes with my husband, and then he had to go back into the NICU. So at that point, you know, we still couldn't hold him as long as we wanted to, but we held him. So that was amazing because we at least got to bond with him, you know. And so after we started holding him, then the time started like, okay, now you can hold him the whole time that you're here, you know. And then little by little, every day was something new. So he started getting better and better and better. And I just like, you know, I just remember getting like going to the hospital every single day. And I think that what helped me going with this process is that, so like, you have to wash your hands obviously before you go in the room, like before you go touch your child. So the thing that helped me is above the sink there are so many beautiful pictures of other kids who made it and are, you know, like 2 or 1, and they're big, you know. So my child was only 3 pounds 4 ounces, and he was 16 inches, so he was tall, but he was so tiny. I remember changing his diaper, and a couple weeks passed by, more than a couple weeks, and he's starting to get better, and they took the oxygen thing off so that he can breathe on his own. Now the problem is that he could not keep his temperature, so they had to keep him under a light for him to keep his temperature. So at that point, he was still in the little NICU. I don't know what they call it. I think it's a NICU. So then, and then they had to keep like a blanket on him to keep his temperature. So after that, then we started getting closer to, then they told us, which was amazing. There was one time that I went in and I was on my phone, and the doctor came in, because they come in every day to let you know if your child has gotten progress or if they need to do something else. It's like a big process. So they come in every day. This time they came in and they told me in a few days he gets to go home. So then the doctor came in and he told us that in a few days Anthony can come home to us. That all we need now, we need to get the car seat, and we need to keep him in the car seat for an hour to see if his breathing would still stay the same and if he'll be okay. I believe I have the first picture of him when we first put him in the car seat. Then we got to take him home. That was the most amazing time. Like, I felt so blessed to be able to take my son home. Now, if you can see above me, right here, these are pictures from the hospital. And that's when we first took him out. He was so tiny, but he was so cute. Now, those pictures, it's pretty cool because my mom was the one who took those pictures, because she used to work in the hospital and take the photographs for the babies. And so she was able to take mine, which was amazing. So that was exciting. I got to, you know, take pictures with my mom, and so I was comfortable, and also I got to take my baby home. So at this point, it's been a month since he's been in the hospital. So I got to take him home. But remember when I told you that I had the C-section? So it was really hard for me because I was still in pain. So it was hard for me to get off the bed and stuff like that still. I have to move very slow. And so we took him home, and I remember the first night. Oh my. So it's actually later on in the day. I came back from what I was doing throughout the day. And so now I'm upstairs instead of being downstairs in my living room. So, like I was saying, I was in a small room and he had a bassinet. So the first night that he was sleeping in the bassinet, he would not sleep. He kept crying. It wasn't until I put him on me that's when he slept. And I know that that's bad for new moms to put them on top of you and sleep, but that was the only way that I could fall asleep, and I needed to recuperate from the C-section that I had. Anyways, he started to progress, and year down the line, he was doing great. Actually, he had a few issues. He wasn't walking, so we were concerned with that, and we kept telling ourselves he's a late walker, blah blah blah. So then we actually called people in to help us, which was the program is called Birth to 3. So they came in, they evaluated him, and then they noticed that he does need help. So from there, they come every week, and they help him and stuff like that. They're still coming because he still needs help because he doesn't talk yet. He still doesn't really. He makes a lot of noise, but he doesn't talk. So we noticed. Excuse me. We noticed that he kept getting ear infections, and we were concerned. So the doctor said that he has a lot of fluid in his ears, and this was last year, I believe. So we did surgery to put tubes in, and then he started to hear us. So I think now he's starting to say a lot more words, and he's starting to hear us, because before, all that liquid in his ears was making him hear like as if he was underwater. Yeah, so that's the story of Anthony. And if you would like to learn more, please let me know and comment down below. And please subscribe to my channel. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. And remember, my diamonds keep on shining. Bye.